Hi, Professor Cobino. This is Isabel Gonzalez. My student number is 1197129. This is my oral video presentation. I'm doing it on domestic violence and a case that I found that was really hit home. Not home, but really hit hard. Here it goes. Are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? These are the words of a neighbor of Laura Aceves to her mother as she stood outside of Laura's old apartment with tears in her eyes. Laura Aceves was murdered by the father of her youngest child after many years of domestic violence. She was found with a gunshot wound to the head 48 hours after she contacted police because her tormentor, Victor Sanchez, had poured bleach in her gas tank, destroying her only method of transportation. This act was the least of the vile things that Sanchez has done to Laura. He beat her with a baseball bat, strangled her until she blacked out, threatened to kill her many times if she ever left him. Laura did all the right things. She moved as far from Sanchez as she could. She took out restraining orders. She was willing to press charges, but the courts and prosecution did not do their jobs. There was nothing else Laura could do. Every time Laura believed Sanchez was in prison, he had been let out on bail. How is this possible? I don't know. The prosecution blames the court, and the courts blame the prosecution for not letting them know how violent the defendant was and how they should not let him out on bail. He broke every rule of his bail, and no one did anything about it. Who dropped this major ball? Did anyone really care? Check out what Sheriff Grudek has to say about this case. It doesn't make a difference what kind of training officers get. You can tell that person they are at risk, but they are going to go back. Women continue to live in that environment. Why don't you do a study on why victims go back to their abusers? Why do they do that? The question you're asking me is, what's wrong with the courts? I'm asking you, what's wrong with these women? Grudek said domestic violence prevention should focus on why women return to their abusers, and that it was not logical or responsible to think that the criminal justice system could solve the problem. How could the sheriff believe and say these things? Well, maybe, as he said he has formulated his beliefs based on what he has watched on the Dr. Phil show. Well, maybe it's because he's 71 years old and is of the belief that this kind of thing did not happen when he was growing up. Sounds like a jerk. If the police, prosecutors, and judges would have done their jobs properly, Laura would still be here raising her 3 children. Now Sanchez is in prison awaiting trial on capital murder. Now no one will let him out on bail. What did it take? The death of a mother? Although I do not want to touch on this subject, I feel I must since this is a victimology class. It is known that Sanchez too is a victim. His father hit him a lot, hard enough to make him bleed. His mother married a string of violent men that beat her in front of him. In the last decade, Arkansas has been ranked as one of the 10 worst states in the nation when it comes to men killing women. Unlike what Sheriff Grudek said, domestic abuse has been on a steady decline in the U.S. since the landmark Violence Against Women's Act was passed in 1994. Still, the United States has the highest rate of domestic homicide of any industrialized country. Are you a Christian? Do you believe in God? I do, Ponce says, her voice strained, but I don't believe in the justice of Berryville. It's a very sad case. I also have another article on that's very interesting, and it's really disturbing. I spend a lot of nights awake due to pain, and so I read. My therapist tells me I have to refocus on something else, so I read. And this article was just so extremely disturbing. I just wanted to mention it. I have it here. I don't know if you can see the title of it. Let's see. Washington Post columnist claims being a college rape victim is now a coveted status. This columnist is really, truly, honestly said that being a college rape victim is now a coveted status. Is this meant for real? I think someone needs to be raped. And maybe, just maybe, his position on rape will change. Just wanted to show it to you. I will attach it, as a link, and make sure you can see it. It really made me sick. It's unreal that it's 2014 and we're still having people, supposedly educated people, saying things like this. Sheriff Grudek is 71 years old. He's an old man with old beliefs, and okay, maybe he can get away with his dumb beliefs, but this is a relatively middle-aged man, should be educated. I mean, he works, he's writing a column for the Washington Post. Washington Post even wrote an article after that defending his opinion piece. So women, watch out for yourselves. Like I say, unfortunately we have to be vigilant, and I suggest to all my nieces and my sisters, we need to carry guns, unfortunately. But before you carry a gun, before you do anything like that, you have to make sure that you're willing to use it. If you're not willing to use it, don't bring it out, because they will use it against you. So here's my piece. I think I went over 5 minutes. I had a lot more to say, but I knew that I would probably go on and on forever. My son says I speak too much, so. Well, here you go. You get to meet me. Thank you.